The alley was narrow, the buildings towering over it like angry giants. A single flickering street lamp at the far end did little to pierce the gloom, its light struggling to reach the ground below. Swallowed up by swirling snow, the wind whipped around the corner, biting through the red armored suit that could withstand bullets, but not the cold. Daredevil stood unmoving, his face obscured by the cowl, only his glowing eyes visible. The red of his suit was a beacon in the whiteout conditions, a stark contrast against the cold blues and purples of the storm. In the foreground, a man huddled, trying to make himself small, pulling his cracked leather jacket tight around him. The duffel bag that he clutched in his hand was old and worn, its contents shifting with every tremor that ran through the man's body. He looked out of place, a rat caught in a blizzard, while behind him, 3 figures lay still in the snow. Their faces were hidden behind masks, their forms twisted in grotesque parodies of life. They were Daredevil's doing, but they weren't his focus. His senses were attuned to the sound of approaching footsteps, heavy and purposeful, crunching through the snow on the fire escape above him. Daredevil followed the sound with his eyes, spotting a dark shape emerge from the stairwell. The man on the roof was a predator, his stance confident, his silhouette stark against the dim glow of the street lamp. It was Bullseye. Even from this distance, Daredevil could see the smirk on his face, cruel and predatory, barely visible through the falling snow. He knew what Bullseye was thinking, how his mind worked, saw the plans forming in those dark thoughts. And he knew that when Bullseye spoke, his words would be as sharp as the diamonds on his fingertips. "Come on down, Daredevil," Bullseye called out, his voice raspy, distorted by the mask that he wore. "It's lonely up here. Care to keep me company?" He gestured to the men in the snow with a flick of his wrist. "You can join your little friends. I'm sure they'd be delighted to see you." Daredevil didn't reply. He couldn't afford to give away his position, not with all of Hell's Kitchen hanging in the balance. The lives of innocent people were at risk, and he wouldn't let Bullseye take another one. Not when he had a feeling that this game was just beginning. As if reading Daredevil's mind, Bullseye laughed, a harsh, grating sound that echoed in the narrow alley. "So predictable," he said, shaking his head in mock disappointment. Then he was gone, melting back into the shadows as quickly as he had appeared. Left alone in the flickering streetlight, Daredevil's focus narrowed. The storm raged on around him, the wind screaming, the snow swirling, but he barely noticed. He was listening, waiting for the moment when Bullseye would make his next move. The silence was heavy, broken only by the crunch of snow underfoot. The man in the red leather jacket trembled, fear radiating off him in waves. But Daredevil remained still, a statue of red amidst the whiteout conditions, his eyes glowing like embers in the cold night. He heard the movement first, a slight shift in the shadows, a whisper of sound. And then he saw him, Bullseye, perched on the edge of a rooftop across the way, a predator surveying his prey. The smirk was back on his face, cruel and mocking, and in his hand, he held something that glinted in the street lamp's glow. A knife. Daredevil's senses were on high alert. He could smell the rain, the snow, the fear, and something else, something metallic, the scent of blood. Bullseye shifted, and in that moment, Daredevil saw his opportunity. He moved, a red blur against the white backdrop, swift. The man on the rooftop didn't have a chance to react. One moment he was there, the next he was gone, vanished into the maze of rooftops that covered Hell's Kitchen. Daredevil landed softly, his eyes never leaving his quarry. He knew that Bullseye was dangerous, that he fought dirty, that he was always one step ahead, but he also knew that he had to stop him, that the lives of innocent people depended on it. As the snow continued to fall, blanketing the city in white, Daredevil began his pursuit, following Bullseye's trail through the labyrinth of rooftops, determined to bring him to justice, even if it meant facing a blizzard in his red armor.